Hey guys, today I would be talking about Zack Snyder Justice League. It is a spoiler review. Um, I watched it twice back to back. Um, I watched one day it was officially released, and then I watched the day after, which is March 18th. And compared to Josh Whedon version, which I remember catching the first day when it was released. I think it was like November 17th, if I'm not mistaken. I do remember it was being released in November. I think it was 2017. And yeah, it was, it wasn't as good as, there was a lot of missing cuts. I remember following the whole story, up until now, like what happened with Zack Snyder, listening to Kevin Smith, trying to put together what the actual story was, since the Justice League was released and what it could be. And the plot itself is very similar, if not the same, to the original Justice League that was released. But it's definitely an enhanced version. It's like 4 hours. Yeah, so if you've been really closely following Zack Snyder Justice League cut like I was, then you would know most of the story already. Um, and then you would also be familiar what comes next and what happened. You will know all the details, unless he decides to change a lot of the things and a lot of the stories. Most of it would always be remain the same. Um, my main thing is what I well, yeah. So obviously, going back to this Justice League movie, I remember when it was first announced, where I was, what I was doing at that time. I was listening to, Zack Snyder. He was first reviewing the Man of Steel. Then I think he was reviewing the Batman vs Superman, and then he had Henry Cavill. In the I think it was sort of like a Zoom meeting call, and he had some few fans, and that's when he officially announced it that hey, it's going to be on HBO Max. I was like, oh wow, that's going to be amazing, and the hype, it just never died. It was always there, and people were still excited about it. And obviously, I was a big fan of it too. Um, yeah, and finally we get to see this secret Snyder cut that people thought never existed. So it was really exciting. Yeah, so yeah, I watched it back to back, and it's fun. It's the characters are more fleshed out. There's some scenes that I didn't understand, like when Aquaman is swimming and the girls are singing. I don't know what that represents, but the character development in this is really good. It makes sense why it was 4 hours long. It doesn't feel like it's 4 hours long. Like I didn't mind it. Um, then obviously the scene with Wonder Woman, the fighting scene, was really good. It's more fleshed out. It's more complete, I would say. If you notice what Josh Whedon did, where they're robbing the bank, it just ends abruptly, or there's a lot of cuts into that scene. But here it just kind of flowed nicely, and it shows what happened to the burglar when she does her thing, with the gauntlet. Um, and obviously Wonder Woman is more. It's way better the way he made it than what Patty Jenkins did in 1984. this feel more grounded of a Wonder Woman, and she feels like a warrior that she is. And obviously the Steppenwolf, the character, um I remember watching the Josh Whedon Justice League, where Steppenwolf is trying to escape with the mother box, and then when they close him, when they lock him in, and he just kind of breaks out of it. People were making fun, like, this looks like a PS2. It looks weird, but in this version the whole thing just collapses, and then you see the everybody just trying to run, and then you see Steppenwolf throwing the horses. He looks more badass, more threatening. um yeah, it looks definitely good. There's more scenes in that scene where he's fighting the Amazonians and he's throwing them around, and it's more fleshed out, definitely. And it feels complete, like when he booms out of the scene. Where does he land? And they show where he lands, and he's talking to Desaad, um you know about collecting the mother box, trying to redeem himself. um yeah, and in this and then there's a scene where Wonder Woman is explaining to Batman about the when the dark side first showed up. That scene has more scenes in it. It looks really badass. You see the Zeus, you see the Atlanteans, you see the Amazonians, you see the Vikings. They all are attacking Darkseid when he's trying to put together the mother box. And you see the Darkseid. He chops the one of the Green Lantern's hand. It's more violent. It's more brutal. I mean, that whole scene was just amazing, where they were just beating the crap out of Darkseid. And then, if you notice, Zeus is the one who separated those three boxes. Just like I think later on in the movie, you see the Flash was trying to do the same towards the end, to separate the mother boxes. Um, so that was really epic. The way they shot it, the scene, where they're fighting the Darkseid and his armies. um and yeah, so that was a really good scene. And then we see again, we see Steppenwolf. He comes to Atlantis trying to steal the box, and then you see him fighting with Mira, and she's trying to like fight with him. And there's one scene where she holds him, and she gets the water and then his blood out of it, and obviously he's trying to, like, you know axe her. And then you see him a little bit fight with Aquaman, and then obviously he takes the mother box and zoom out of that. And it's the dialogues are there, where he says there's no lanterns, there's no Kryptonian, this world will fall. And then obviously the speech with the dark side, where he talks about, like, he turned 1,000 world to dust. It's very intimidating, and it feels complete. The movie feels complete. And then obviously there is much more story to the Flash. I liked it. It was more in Cyborg. There's much more character development, where he's interacting with his father. And then obviously when he meet Iris, there's a scene where uh, you know where he's trying to get a job at a pet shop, I believe. And Iris is just looking at him while she's driving, and then she was almost getting into an accident, and there's a guy who's not paying attention either. He's a truck driver, he's eating his burger, and then he sees her, and then he tries to he runs. He runs very awkwardly. I mean, if he's just flaring his arm, and that's how he runs throughout the whole movie. I wonder if they will keep the same style in the new movie too. But just like they change. If you watch the Aquaman, here in this, they create a bubble to talk, but in the new Aquaman, they didn't do that. They just talked and did whatever. Um, but yeah, he saved Iris, and then the music starts playing. It's supposed to be like a romantic moment where he's falling in love with this girl. She likes him, and I didn't mind it, but I think some people did. They thought it was just weird. But I thought it was a good scene. That was one of the scene that I seen it earlier years back. It was like a deleted scene, but it didn't had any audio or anything in it. It was just a scene where he's just running, breaking the window, and that's it. To save her. I remember seeing a clip of that somewhere, but um, yeah, and Flash is Flash. He's kind of quirky. He's and then the cyborg. His he when Zack Snyder described it, he's the heart of the story, and that is so true because there's so much character development in him. His high school, and then his father missing the game, and then his mother dying, and then he's trying to save his son. There's a lot of car crashes, I guess. Iris car crashes, the truck driver, the mother, and obviously, um, he blames his father for it for whatever reason, and he doesn't have a good relationship with his father, and then obviously he uses Motherbot to save his life, and then you see him. He's able to see everything, and he helps this old lady. He creates a digital currency. She's struggling to pay the rent, and then there's a scene where he's looking at her, and she gets the money in her account, like $100,000, and they're excited, and you see like they show like what he can do. Like there's like a visual imagination. He can control everything literally. Um, and yeah, so it's much more. It's. I mean, obviously, it's so many characters. It doesn't make sense for a movie to be only 2 hours or whatever the case might be. So and it flows. There's never where you feel like you don't feel dull about anything. It flows nicely. And then you see there's a great balance between action and then dark side, or the conversation between Desaad and Steppenwolf. And here the Batman seems pretty optimistic. I remember watching a Justice League, even towards the end, he seems very suicidal, he seems very depressed. But in this one, he's like much more optimistic. He's trying to get the team together. There's a lot of scenes. He's obviously he's trying to put the team together. He has a scenes with Alfred, and he's yeah, there's a scene where he's reminiscing about what happened. Where the Flash says Lois is the key, and she's like, oh yeah, she's the heart. He goes like, no, there's much more dark or much more sinister to it. Yeah, I remember Zack Snyder mentioned it earlier, where he said, oh yeah, they Darkseid kills apparently Lois Lane, and then Superman goes evil, and that's when all these things change of events happen, and that's where they end up in a nightmare. The vision or the version. So yeah, so then obviously they go for the third time. They're trying to resurrect uh, Superman. It's that scene is the same as what it was in Josh Whedon. Obviously, there's more to it, how they're coming into the lab and doing it, but main scene is the same. The way they resurrect, I thought it would be a bit different because in the end of the BB Batman versus Superman, we see the dirt, uh, you know, above the ground moving, or not above the ground, yeah, above the casket where Superman is buried. It starts moving, but the resurrection seems very same. But after that, obviously, there's more to it. There's a fight, um, and him attacking the military and everything, and then flying away. But before that, we also see Martian Manhunter revealing himself to be Martian Manhunter, and he's always in the background observing how things are. We see a cameo of him as well. Um, yeah, so that's they fight again with Steppenwolf. Obviously, Steppenwolf takes the mother box, and his father, cyborg father, he basically put the tracker, like makes the mother box more heated so that they can track it where all these people, where the Steppenwolf is. And obviously we see the team comes to him, and obviously there's a huge battle. Again, everything is much more enhanced. The fight scenes are great. They're much more um you know they're much more fleshed out. We see Flash running around. There were some few scenes I think I liked it in Josh Whedon where Flash is sort of like removing people one by one, but here he's just sort of like running around. Um, but overall, it was really good the way they did it, and um, again the whole under the tunnel, you know, the Gotham tunnel, the fight scene is almost the same, and obviously he escapes. They two also escape, and then we see towards the end we see this huge battle that takes place. Uh, you know, um, again, it's much more. There's no scene from where the Flash was rescuing or the Superman is rescuing anybody or anything like that. It was just Superman gets his suits. There's a scene also with Lois Lane. She's struggling, and there's a scene where people are saying she might be pregnant. Um, uh, yeah, I really didn't mind much of her scene. Same thing with his Martha Kent. Didn't mind some of her scene either. But it was good though. It was, like I said, it was character developing. It was really good. And then finally we see Superman in a black suit. We know it's not the black suit. It's just they did it through. They figured out a way to do it. And I just read somewhere that even the studio was against it because they were trying to even do a mullet. He was trying to even get a Green Lantern in it, some version of it, but the studio was fighting, and they didn't want him to do Green Lantern. Yeah, so in the end we see in conclusion we see again, he's trying to Cyborg is obviously trying to separate the box. We see the huge fight plays out, and then obviously Steppenwolf is struggling without the Superman. The Justice League is struggling to beat Steppenwolf, but he is beatable. Steppenwolf is beatable. He's not as strong. But then we see Superman comes in and he gives him a beat down. You see the shock waves, when he's hitting him, and obviously he lasers him and cut his ear off, and then there is a scene where Flash is trying to do what Zeus did. He's trying to generate the electricity, and he fails to do so because one of the the dark side. What do you call these people? I forgot. Those things. They hit him. I forgot. I always knew the parademon. One of the parademons shoots him, and um, as he's running in circle to build up the charge, then he fails, and then the explodes, and then he reverses the time he heals first, uh, and then he obviously Flash has the ability to heal fast too, as we all know it, and he turns the time back. He time travels, which was kind of confusing at first when I saw it. To be honest, I'm like, what is he doing? Is he rewinding? Is he reversing it? And then I realized, like, oh, he's time traveling, and pretty much he time travels back, and with the Superman help, they separate the boxes, and then we see, obviously, we see them take out. They give the final blow to Steppenwolf, and Wonder Woman basically chops his head off, and it falls into, Darkseid basically steps on it, crushes it, and then that's the epic scene where they're just staring at Darkseid, and Darkseid is staring at them, and then he talks about, like, he learns about obviously the anti-life equation on the Earth, and he said we'll figure a different way out, and we know we're gonna come there, and there's going to be a war, and then we see again, and we see a Granny Goodness in Desaad. Granny Goodness, there was no dialogue. She was just there in that one clip that we saw in a trailer. And then that was pretty much it, And obviously, there's a Nightmare scene that was added, and I think the next movie will be based on Nightmare. That part was really good. The way they shot it, the dialogue between Batman and the Joker, the Jared Leto, he basically earned his. He became a much better Joker than what he was in other films. Maybe we didn't get a chance to see overall, but obviously he was really good in this, and his chemistry with Ben Affleck, Batman. And then obviously in that we see Flash, we see Mira. That shows that Aquaman died, maybe killed by Superman. And Joker, him and the Joker's having a dialogue back and forth, and then obviously gives him a card for truce. We also see Deathstroke. Then Superman arrives, and then Joker laughs, and that's when that nightmare ends. There was a clip of when Cyborg has a vision. I think when they were resurrecting Superman, where we see Kal-El Havok, the Green Lantern. We see the Joker car ripped apart. We see Superman holding the Batman's head. We also see another vision where Superman is crying. I think he's in the Batcave, and Darkseid, his hand is on him, and you can see the Darkseid fires coming out of his eyes, like comic book or like animated movie where he killed everybody and he uses his Omega Beam to kill one of the Atlanteans. That was pretty epic. Those visions were really epic. There's a lot of Easter eggs. Then obviously the last scene we see Martian Manhunter reveals himself to Batman. He said, "Oh, the war is coming. I'm here for you." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." He doesn't look much surprised because like, yeah, we need all the help we're gonna need, and that's it. I liked it. It was pretty epic. I gave 8 out of 10. I think the story was, like I said, the story in the essence is the same. And if you've been closely following Zack Snyder and all these information that were initially being leaked, or him talking about it, whether it's from Kevin Smith talking about it, someone else, or maybe Zack Snyder himself throwing something at us. I think he also gave a detail how this time the Flash comes back to the right place. There is a concept of those stories out there that he explained it. and a detail. And yeah, I was really into that. I really wanted to know what was the original vision was like. So the plot in the essence was the same. Um, it has a lot of other piece to it. It enhanced the story. Um, CGI was decent. Uh, it wasn't perfect, but it was a bit choppy. It was decent for this movie, I would say. But yeah, I was just so happy to see it finally realize Zack Snyder version, that secret, that myth that everybody thought didn't exist. It's kind of crazy how it came all together. Um, and I watched it twice, like I said, in one shot. One day I watched it, and the second day I watched the full movie. One day I watched the first day I watched the full movie. Like I didn't pause it and watched it a next day or anything like that in parts. I watched it all in one shot. Obviously, I paused it one time. I think the first day to go use the bathroom break. But other than that, I watched it through. It was that good. But yeah, let's see if there's a hashtag going on, restore the Snyder cut, and we'll see how things go from there. But yeah, I really liked it. It was been waiting for this for a very long time. Uh, you know, since there was a lot of petition was going on since that time, and then obviously since the whole news about Zack Snyder versus the Warner Brothers or the execs, how they interfered and ruined the movie, and the Josh Whedon and Ray Fisher drama with the Josh Whedon, what's going on with them. Um, but yeah, Ray Fisher did a good job. I don't know whether they're gonna continue of having him as a cyber movie. I think there was, but I think they canceled it or something. Um, there's a possibility maybe HBO Max will fund the next Justice League. I also heard the rumor they might fund the Man of Steel too, with Henry Cavill. Obviously, there's a news that just came out um, of you know the Black Superman movie that is gonna come. I think they're creating already the multi universe like what Marvel is doing. Um, and also, I just read the news that they're trying to reboot the Smallville with the main cast, or try to create some kind of a continuation, a limited series. They're trying to do something. I just read it today, so that is kind of cool too. I'm gonna look more into that. Yeah, it was really good. It was worth it. I think Rotten Tomato is sitting at 77 or 78, and I think by the score by the audience is 97. But yeah, that is my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know what you guys think. Please do subscribe, like, and comment. Thanks.